was like, damn, can't get enough of this more. Like, I don't even know where I am. Ooh, baby, get hyped to the beat.
Another episode of the Woah Show, brought to you by Carpies. They made this awesome shirt, big sponsor of us and her, and Close Racing Supplies. It's winter, time to get your builds on. Close has all the greatest deals and products. Joining us today is go-kart standout, Kaydan Bush.
Hello.
So, Kaydan, you won the most improved of the year. You went from 0 wins last year to winning a boatload of races. You were, a win short from getting a track championship at Pittsfield. What happened between last year and this year that really got you from, you went 0 to 100 real quick?
I think the most improved part is my dad and I's relationship and just learning how to talk and communicate on what's wrong with the car and what to fix. And I've only been doing it for 3 years, so I wasn't necessarily sure on the terms and stuff, but I spent a lot of time studying and knowing what's loose, what's tight, and just making adjustments and not arguing with him about what we need to do, and him listening to me on how the cart feels.
So you ran all over. You went down to Lockhart's. That's always a really competitive place, from what I understand, in the go-kart world. You raced Pittsfield. That place is a little tricky. Do you think being able to go other places really and do so well, because you went to AMS this year too, do you think running on such a tricky it's a D-shaped go-kart track, a lot of people come out of 4, hit the wall, just kind of like Freedom Motorsports Park. It comes up real quick. Do you think that kind of helps, being on a real tricky track? So when you go to something more, maybe AMS isn't really traditional because of how banked it is, but it's more of an oval.
Right. Yeah, I think that helped me a lot whenever we went down the flat run or AMS, which is completely different because it's banked. But I'd rather be good at something that's tricky to drive than just driving a plain circle and hitting the same marks every time. But every mark on the track at Pittsfield is different. And if you mess up on 1 and 2, you're going to be messed up coming on a 3 and 4. So I just think it's important to get it down there. And I do think that the best thing that ever happened was learning how to drive Pittsfield, because that did improve where I went other places as well, because I knew how to stop and go and hit my marks.
Yeah, it's a really cool place. I really enjoyed going out there. It's a very funky place. I passed it 3 times before I got there. It's an old school building. It's absolutely cool though. It's one of the coolest places I've been. So let's talk more about getting recognized back here. This is yours, by the way. She got this. This was printed by Carpies. They literally do everything, don't they?
They do my cart.
So that's
yeah.
yours. You can put that wherever you want. What's it like being recognized by? And I know this isn't. It's not like this is like a huge award ceremony, but there was 30 to 40,000 votes in a thing. What is it like being recognized for most improved? Because you were up against. I mean, you are the first female winner of an award and a first go-kart winner of an award. So what is it like to be recognized after such a great season?
Obviously everyone loves to be hyped up and be recognized. I really like the idea that I'm the first female and actually I think I'm the second female, right?
Cassie got nominated. Cassie Norman got nominated last year. I don't have my notes. Usually I'm sitting in front of a computer for this. I think it was last year that she got nominated for the second awards. But you were the first one that has ever won one. And such a male-dominated sport around here, it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I really like the idea that I was the first female winner, and I like the idea that I was even nominated as a go-kart driver. And I know a lot of people were saying, oh, she's a go-kart driver, why is she even in the running? But honestly, this is the next step for me, and this is what's going to get me on the big track, and the recognition was nice. And I mean, we still got a lot of work to do, but it's nice to be noticed for your accomplishments.
And only one award, most popular driver, gets voted on by the fans from basically what we do is there's a couple guys that I know, people behind the scenes in Woah Nellie, give me, suggestions and stuff. And it was pretty obvious who we were going to put in there. And we did have some fighting back and forth, but I was like, we got to get Kaydan in there. She went from 0 to 100 real quick, like I said earlier. And it was pretty awesome. So I'm not really big into karts. There's probably a lot of people watching this that might not be big into karts. The class you run seems to be the biggest at most treks that I've been to. Is that really the most competitive? It goes by weights. There's a lot to go-karts that I slowly was realizing since following Kaydan and being, slapped on the go-kart for her to rub my face off of it this year. So maybe a little bit more on that.
So I can definitely say that 325 clone and probably 350 clone is the biggest and most competitive class, with honestly probably the most like money races, like State Line runs money races, Lockhart's. And that is the one, if you're looking for a place to go, Lockhart is really good about having those money races. But it is super competitive, and wherever you go, there's going to be a good cart count. And another thing I want to mention is a lot of people say, like, you may not be in the go-karts and stuff like that, but if you talk to anybody who runs those big cars and you sit down and talk to them, say they used to race go-karts, they'll say they spend more time finicking with go-karts than they do big cars. They're a lot more touchy. You need to know a lot more on them in order to get it to cooperate with you and make it drivable. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. And there's not as much money in it as much as big cars, but you still have to take out some money.
Right. And on that, I feel like starting in maybe a go-kart versus a lot of people nowadays, there's a lot of conversations, there really isn't like a pathway to like, hey, you start here, here's level 1, because anybody can just go out and buy any car, and then you run into issues. Maybe there are guys out there that are a little driving in classes a little over their head, yada yada. And it's really good to see, then some of the next generation kind of come up through go-karts or start somewhere. So I guess long-term goals. You talk about getting on the big track. I mean, what is the Kaydan Busch dream? What is the KB3? Where do you like in an interview they're like, where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you see your racing career really ending up?
Okay, that's a hard question. And I actually have exciting news. In 2024, we're going to be piloting something different as well, adding it to my resume, and I think that's going to help me get to my next steps. I'm not going to say what it is.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Can we break some news here?
It's going to be a wing cart. Different. It's not ours, so I'm just going to keep it private for now because it's still like in the works. But yeah, I'll be driving that this year. Super exciting. I think that's honestly the next step for me. And like you said, I think it's really important for kids like me, I'm actually adult now, to get in these go-karts, get the driver experience before going out on a big track and not having any idea what you're doing. Because it's even important, like you need to know what the flags mean, what it means when you're getting lapped. Like that's really important to know. And I think that karts teaches you the basics, and it teaches you throttle control and like little things that can carry on when you get in a big car before you get in a super high horsepower car where you can actually hurt yourself if you don't know what you're doing. I think that's important. But my goal in 5 years is obviously to make it on the big track, whether or not that happens or not. We all got different lives to live. My career, getting my life started financially and finding a good job is important to me before I go and spend a ton of money on race cars. My goal right now is to honestly get into a mini late model. I think that's probably the best thing, or a modified. That would be really cool too. And those are both like kind of where the up and coming is going, or even a street stock. Honestly, I'll take it. And Challenger, I'll get in whatever you want me to pilot, but I think that's the next step for me, is getting on that track.
What I see in a lot of go-karts is, even though there are sometimes tempers get a little heated, maybe you do some pushing and shoving. Go-kart racing's there's a lot of respect, because you might say, oh, you can get hurt. I've seen some pretty nasty wrecks where people just walk away in the big cars, but in go-karts, there's really nothing stopping you from being thrown out of the cart and going for a ride. So I think it teaches a lot of respect. You say a lot of people coming up, maybe doing mini late models, doing modifieds. I think modifieds are a great class around here, whether you're we got Econo mods to like get your feet wet, and then when you start going in the big boys, the UMPs, which is really my favorite. There's some good stuff there. So let's see what else we got here. Plug all your sponsors. Who gets you to where you are?
So I want to thank ERA Team VP. That's actually where I work. So shout out to you guys. Carpies, amazing job. Honestly, most hands-on business. I'm getting there.
Yeah, it's you, but
Yeah,
from
that's me.
Carpies.
Woah Nellie Productions. Ella Wyatt State Farm. Bush and Sons. Gosh, let me think. Ed Schultz of Warren, they're a big one too. They've been with us from the beginning. I know I'm forgetting some, but if you're on the
Big
car, Ronnie spins. Honestly, that can be our next subject. Yeah, I like to thank my sponsors because without them, I wouldn't be able to do it, and they're key. And Woah Nellie's a pretty big one, and he does a lot for the kart racing, and he didn't have to show up to Pittsfield the one night and take pictures because he's just different. He's like that. He's a good guy.
It's all right. Both my favorites won in the same night. It's a little farther apart. So yeah, go on about Ronnie Boy, as I like to call him.
Oh gosh, Ronnie spins. He does tires. He's really good at it. Honestly, a little hint at Pittsfield, if it wasn't for his tires that he rolled all week and put prep in, and even whenever I couldn't make it there, we wouldn't have been in victory lane. Tires is key to go-karts, and without good tires, you're not going anywhere. You need to spend time. It's not just put your tires on and go. No, you need to roll these tires, prep them internally, find a good prep brand to run with, and prep them at the track. It's really important, and without my dad, I wouldn't have been able to get where I needed to go.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy when I the first couple times I went to a go-kart track, I wasn't walking around. I really didn't know anybody. I was just there to take pictures and have a good time and see some racing because usually I would show up to AMS. I went to State Line karts about, I think, twice. But when I was able to see like some behind-the-scenes stuff, I didn't realize how big tires are. Tires are really important in like every class, but there's some other stuff you can do to a bigger car where, in a go-kart, there's only so many things you can do. And looks like tires, huge. I got no idea what's going on there. Ron's genius, is what you're saying.
Yeah, he spends a lot of time sitting down and studying and doing a little bit more behind the scenes. And
PhD in tire maintenance.
Yep.
All right, well.
Oh, I want to thank DMD Performance as well for my sponsorship. Completely forgot them. Yeah, Treadway.
She's new here. I was saying our last interview with Jason Knowles when he was able to list all his sponsors off without having his car in front of him. Like, this guy's been to victory lane a couple times. All right, thank you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, the most improved driver of 2023, according to y'all at home, Kaydan Bush.
Thank you.
Let's go, cause this is our jam. This is our jam. Let's go. Let me break it down right quick for my haters, my dictators and bad raiders. Since you never seem to get it right no more, then right no more. Kick back your